Today we're going to be looking at one of the most bizarre and interesting backstories in any video game, and that's the strange origin of Samus, the main character in the Metroid series. By now I'm sure most of you are familiar with Samus, but her origin is actually very bizarre, and believe it or not, she's not entirely human. Welcome to Digital Bestiary, where I talk about interesting lore and backstories from various video games, and if that's something you're into, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel for more content. So before Samus was a deadly intergalactic bounty hunter, she was actually born into a fairly normal life. She was born on the planet K2L, which was an Earth-colonized planet, and just like it sounds, was a very mundane environment. Samus was raised by her father Rodney Aran, or Rod as most called him, and her mother Virginia Aran. Her father was actually chief in the Galactic Federation and oversaw a mining operation on K2L focused on acquiring afluorotite, which is essentially a crystal used in part to fuel the Galactic Federation ships, allowing them to have a caravan between planets. So Rodney was actually a very important person and played a huge role in the Galactic Federation. The operation ran quite smoothly until around the time Samus had turned 3 years old. You see, near K2L was the planet Zebes, which on the outside was very desolate and rocky, and even had the occasional acid rain. But below the surface, Zebes was filled with an immense amount of deep tunnels and caverns, many of which were surprisingly filled with dense jungle and vegetation. One of the habitant species of the planet were the Chozo, or birdmen. The Chozo are an advanced ancient species who actually inhabit many planets, and overall, most were on good terms with humans. So around the time Samus was 3, a group of Chozo came to visit K2L, and asked to have a meeting with Rodney to discuss the possibility of acquiring some afluorotite. During the negotiation, Rodney reminded the Chozo that the afluorotite was exclusively reserved for the Galactic Federation caravans. Samus, being only a toddler at the time, wandered in and interrupted the discussion, which her father, Rodney, scolded her for. An elderly member of the Chozo named Old Bird took Samus aside and befriended her, while another member, Grey Voice, stayed behind to continue the negotiation. Old Bird taught Samus the importance of befriending and understanding others. He demonstrated this by helping her friend Pianchi, a native rabbit-like creature, who would later be a longtime companion of Samus. Despite the Chozo's best efforts, Rodney was very firm on sticking to his original statement and would not hand over any afluorotite whatsoever. So the Chozo eventually took no for an answer and departed on their ship back to Zebes. Only moments after they left, Rodney got a feeling something was wrong when the Beatrix 3, one of their galactic caravans, wasn't taking off when it should have. Rodney quickly realized that they were delaying the takeoff because there were some space pirates coming straight toward the mining facility. The space pirates are a very dangerous faction composed of multiple species, and as their name implies, they primarily focus on attacking and raiding ships and planets. But this group of space pirates in particular were extremely dangerous as they were led by Ridley. Ridley was an extremely sadistic, bloodthirsty being whose species is unknown but resembles a skeletal, dragon-like pterodactyl. Ridley is known to be a very brutal creature with an immense resilience, often bouncing back from the brink of death. When the pirates landed, the first to emerge was Ridley, and Samus, trying to implement her new knowledge from Old Bird, mistakenly tried to befriend Ridley, despite his very intimidating appearance. But Ridley, being the ruthless being that he is, attempted to strike down the 3-year-old Samus, but not before her mother, Virginia, jumped in the way, sacrificing her own life in the process. While all this was going on, Rodney ended up being able to sneak onto the pirates' cargo ship in hopes of securing stolen afluorotite, only to be trapped aboard when the ship started taking off. Rodney was quickly approached by a couple members of the pirates, but unfortunately at the time he was only equipped with a welding laser. Rodney knew this tool wouldn't be enough to survive an engagement, but he knew it would be enough to ignite the afluorotite aboard. So, in a quick, selfless act, Rodney sacrificed himself, igniting the supply with the laser, wiping out the entire raiding party and their ship. He also severely damaged Ridley in the process. The only survivor of the K2L colonists was Samus. The recently departed Chozo ship had quickly heard an incoming distress signal from K2L and Oldbird ordered the ship to turn around and rush back to the planet in hopes of aiding them in whatever was going on. Upon arrival, Oldbird and Greyvoice discovered only Samus and brought her back with them to safety on their planet Zebes. Years later, Ridley would actually torment Samus by telling her that after she left, he had to survive by feeding on all the dead colonists, since he was stranded there for such a long time. Shortly after, Samus, Oldbird, and Greyvoice made it to Zebes. The two Chozo weren't quite sure where to start with young Samus, so they thought the best thing to do would be to take her to see Mother Brain. Mother Brain was a sentient organic supercomputer that was built by the Chozo to oversee planet Zebes and to help them with essentially any issue they might have. This half-computer, half-organism is so intelligent, it has the ability to predict multiple outcomes to any scenario and suggest the best course of action. While after analyzing Samus, Mother Brain knew her odds of survival were very slim with her new life on Zebes, as the harsh environment on most of the planet was far too much for her frail human body. The solution? Integrate Chozo DNA with Samus through one of their body adaptation machines. The Chozo DNA was provided from the blood of Greyvoice and would allow Samus to better adapt to her environment and push the boundaries of her human capabilities. Over her teen years, Samus was put through very intense training in the ways of the Power Suit, which is essentially a high-tech suit of armor equipped with many weapons and gadgets, and with a personal oxygen supply so she can survive in water and also in space. Oldbird and Greyvoice raised and trained Samus for the purpose of doing good and protecting others in the galaxy. They would tell her that she needs to utilize her abilities to the max, and second place will never do. Samus and the Chozo had the same ultimate goal as far as keeping peace in the galaxy, but Mother Brain and the Chozo would sometimes take things too far, like wiping out an entire species on Zebes just for bringing a poisonous flower to the planet which the species primarily fed on. So Samus knew from there it would be better off parting ways with the Chozo and taking on her new responsibility for her own. Not long after Samus left the Chozo, she was contacted by the Federation Police, which essentially started her long journey in fulfilling missions and protecting the galaxy. If you want to hear more about Samus later in life, let me know down below in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more interesting lore and backstories from video games. I will see you guys in the next video, and as always, good luck and have fun.